The Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Sunyani, the Regional Minister, President of Agri-Impact Ashanti Region and Bono, our esteemed private sector partners, our colleagues, Nananom, the young people, women, and MMDAs. Indeed, it's an honor for me to welcome you this morning and to deliver this address on behalf of our CEO, Mr. Daniel Fahine-Akwe, who could not be here with us due to some urgent matters that arose at the last minute. We want to extend our sincere appreciation to all who have traveled near and far to be part of this process. Your presence here affirms your commitment to advancing Ghana's agribusiness agenda and shaping the future of this critical sector. The importance of agribusiness and to its transformative power in our economy cannot be overstated. It is indeed the key to unlock jobs and wealth for our nation. Indeed, our nation is blessed with many resources. When you look at our climate, our agroecological zones, our river bodies, we don't really have an excuse for where we find ourselves. So it's not just a statistics to say that our agribusiness sector is not giving off its best. It's a reminder that we have what it takes, and indeed, we have the potential. The challenge is how do we turn this potential into productivity, and how do we turn our capacity into better coordinated outcomes? That is the reason why we are here this morning. And so I would want to say thank you for coming and for indeed being willing to be part of this process. Let's be clear. What we are doing here is not something that we are doing for the ministry. If this was for the ministry, then we would have consulted with the ministry in Accra and would have ended the process there. We've come here because we believe that the ministry is there to serve as a guide. It's to facilitate the process, but this is for us. It's for the private sector actors, it's for the value chain actors. And so we need your input and your feedback to make the process one that is owned by all of us. It takes all of us to put our hands to the wheel to be able to deliver on this agenda. This is also not a routine program that we want to go through. We are here to build our future. Silence doesn't solve any problems. We need to speak up, we need to let our voices be heard, and then we also need to be sure that the policies reflect the realities of the sector, not only in Accra, but here in the Bono Region and everywhere else we find ourselves. As we engage today, we must ask ourselves the hard questions. Are our current policies truly fit for purpose? Are they resilient enough to withstand the rapidly changing dynamics of agribusiness? Are they inclusive of our young people, women, persons with disabilities? We don't want the situation where we say, oh, this policy is also for young people. We actually want specific recommendations that would take their creativity, contributions, their unique challenges into consideration, and will make specific provisions that would ensure that indeed, when they come to the table, they're able to participate and be gainfully engaged in the value chain. Do they also reflect the demands of environmental sustainability and digital innovation? As we've grown, we've seen the emergence of AI and the role of technology, and we have to be sure that our policies are also reflected and they are not just afterthoughts. As we're coming into Sunyani, we experienced the poor state of roads. Regional Minister, it wasn't easy. Even me just being in the car was tough. So I'm imagining if you have to send day-old chicks from here to Accra or do the reverse, and you have to bring in produce and delicate items, the impact on business is not just the inconvenience, it's also the cost, the time that we waste on our roads and its impact on productivity. As a nation, we are losing between 20 to 50% of what we harvest before it even gets into the market. Here in the Bono and Ahafo region, we do so much cashew, you said, to mangoes and maize, cashew. But the question is, how much of it are we processing and adding value to? If you take Griffonia that we're working on, a kilo of Griffonia is maybe $2. But when you process that and turn it into the active ingredient, it can go as far as $100. So the multiplier is many times. But if we stop at just producing raw material and don't add any value, we simply lose out on the benefits. So the question is not really whether we need to double our acreages, but it's really how do we stop losing what we have already produced? Because it costs money to do that, and then at the end of the day, you don't sell, you lose out on all of that. We need better roads, we need aggregation, logistic coordination, among a host of other problems to really transform our economy. We are losing over $2 billion worth of food annually. And then on top of that, we are also losing almost the same figure in post-harvest losses. So if you put the two together, in lost revenue and also in foreign exchange burdens, it's costing us over $3 billion every year in foreign exchange and lost income. And this must stop. We must really stop this narrative. If you take South Africa, for example, agriculture is just 3%, but agribusiness contributes 10%. So it means that agribusiness has the value to triple what we are doing from ordinary production. And that is the value of value addition. It bridges the gap between production and productivity, and also between scarcity and wealth. And so we are saying that to transform our agribusiness sector, we really need to take bold and decisive actions. We must be bold to change the practice and policies that are hindering our growth. We must build institutions that work. We have here shining examples of indigenous companies that are trying to make a difference. Yedent, Vesta, Aglo Farms, New Age, Agro-Kings, to name a few. But the question is, are we creating the enabling environment for these businesses to thrive? How are we supporting them in the face of the high importation that we are experiencing as a nation? Just to name a few of the problems: the high cost of borrowing, prolonged loan processing timelines, our VAT rates, our import duties, weak enforcement on imported goods that allows people to just bring in almost anything and at very low prices. All this really creates a field that does not enable our private sector to thrive. And is government procurement aligned with local production? Are we making it mandatory for almost all of government purchases to be given to our local industry so that it gives them the needed boost to grow? And so we must we must reward productivity and not promote import dependency. Another key thing that I want us to also stress is Ghanaians are love for imported goods. And so as we demand of our private sector to invest and come up with better quality, are we willing to patronize the goods that they produce? Are we willing to pay sometimes a little extras because we want to support them and get them to become more productive at what they do? Every cedi that we spend on imports is a cedi lost in jobs, in innovation, and in national wealth. And so we really need to champion the cause of made in Ghana to build Ghana. We must also be bold to invest. So we've heard that the oil and mining, we're going to take royalties to support the big push agenda. Our plea is that we create a special purpose vehicle for agribusiness, and that if we truly believe that the agriculture is the engine for transformation, then we must establish an agri-fund. I think my boss has championed this at the national level. Now I want to reiterate it here, that if we want to have GET fund for education and have NHS for health, then if agriculture and agribusiness is important, then we also need to have an agri-fund that is dedicated to agribusiness advancement. Because agriculture is not cheap. A lot of people think that it's a hobby, it's something you do on the side. If you go at it half-heartedly, you will not realize the gains. There are a lot of investments. We're stressing the cost of land development. 1 acre is over 25,000. If we leave this to private sector alone, by the time they've done the roads, the infrastructure, light, utilities to the site, most factories don't even have the working capital to operationalize. And this is really a hurdle to their advancement. So we really need to create the enabling environment for our private sector to thrive and to drive this agenda of transforming our agribusiness sector. We also must strengthen the bridge between research and industry. We should focus our research on real-world problems and to provide solutions that would enhance productivity. Academia and industry must collaborate, and we shouldn't just be going through the emotions. We must also be bold to partner, because there's no way any one institution or group of institutions can solve the challenge that we have in our agribusiness sector. We need to come together, pool resources, pool expertise, and we need to really be intentional in forging partnerships that would help us address this challenge. We need government, we need industry, we need youth representation, and we must make sure that we are creating the enabling environment that will lead to jobs, and jobs that are dignified and fulfilling. Also, we must also know that it takes a whole village to solve a problem and to raise a child. And the same applies to agribusiness sector. So we need to put our hands to the wheel and make sure that we are all working in the same direction to be able to transform our agribusiness sector. And so as we move into our discussions, we need to remember that we are not here to make minor adjustments. We've done that for over the years and it has not really delivered any results. So we are here to reset the system. We must speak of transformation, we must speak of inclusion, we must speak of sustainability. And let me stress that our young people, our women and persons, differently abled people, they are not just a statistic. They are an important part of our population, and we cannot sidestep them and really expect to see transformation in the agribusiness sector. So if we really want to move forward, then we have to be very intentional in creating space for our young people, women, and differently abled people to also be able to actively participate in the sector. So let me end by saying that we need to be bold in our ideas and decisive in our actions. And on behalf of our group CEO, I want to thank you for your commitment and participation. And may this dialogue mark the beginning of a new era in Ghana's agribusiness transformation. Thank you.